Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Just when you thought this week could not possibly throw anything else at England's cricket team, the universe decided to have one more laugh because while the headlines have been dominated all week by Ben Stokes, by nightclubs and curfews and ECB investigations and captaincy questions that nobody has the nerve to answer directly, something else has been quietly unravelling in the background. Ollie Robinson, the man who came back from 2 years in the international wilderness at Lord's last week and reminded everyone watching exactly why he belongs at this level, is out. Knee soreness, second test gone, and just like that, England are heading into the Oval against New Zealand, having lost their captain, their nighttime pace attack partner, and now the seamer who was supposed to anchor the bowling unit in both their absences. 3 changes at minimum, possibly 5, and the week is not finished yet. Welcome back to Boundary Line UK, and today we are doing what we always do when English cricket decides to combust. We are getting into every last detail, every selection headache, every storyline and every piece of context. You need to understand what is actually happening here and why it matters far beyond just one test match at the Oval, because this is a story about depth and character and the structural strength of a project that Stokes and McCullum built, and whether that project can stand on its own when the scaffolding gets ripped away all at once. Grab a drink, we've got a lot to get through. Let us start with Robinson, because his situation deserves more than just a line in a selection update. The story of Ollie Robinson and the England Test team over the last 2 years is one of the more quietly compelling subplots in modern English cricket, and it does not get nearly enough attention compared to the bigger personalities and bigger moments that surround it. Robinson was dropped from England's Test setup after the 2023 Ashes. The official line was always performance-based, which was technically true in the sense that his numbers had dipped from his peak. But the unofficial conversation, the one happening in coaching meetings and selection discussions, was always about something else. It was about fitness. It was about durability. It was about whether Robinson, a tall seamer with a high-intensity action that put significant strain on his body, could sustain his effectiveness across long spells, across multiple days, across a whole test series at international level. The whispers were that he could bowl well in short bursts but might fade, that the engine was good but the fuel tank was not big enough for the longest distances. Robinson spent 2 years in the county game, working, developing, staying patient. When the call came back for the first test against New Zealand at Lord's, there was a sense of it being a genuine second chance rather than a guaranteed recall. And what did he do with it? He took 7 wickets, 7 in a test match on return from 2 years away. 3 of those came in a single over, which is not just impressive, it is the kind of thing that makes selectors look each other in the eye and realise they made an error, leaving someone out for that long. He bowled with swing, with discipline, with the kind of sustained menace that the doubters said he could not maintain. He answered every question anyone had ever asked about him in the course of one test match at the home of cricket. And now, before he has even had a chance to back it up, before he's had the chance to stand on a second ground and do it all again, his knee has flared up. And the selectors who were just beginning to trust him again are left squinting at a squad sheet with a very large hole in it and a very long list of complications to solve before Wednesday morning. Because here is the brutal truth about Robinson's absence. It's not just about replacing one seam bowler with another. It's about the compounding effect of everything that has happened in the last 10 days, all landing at once. Stokes is out, Atkinson is out, and now Robinson is out. 3 members of the Lord's 11 gone before the next test has even started. That is not a minor reshaping of the squad. That is rebuilding a significant portion of the engine while the race is already underway. And every individual decision around replacement is connected to every other one, creating a selection puzzle that has clearly been giving Brendan McCullum and his backroom staff a very long few days. Start with the pace bowling. With Atkinson and Robinson both missing, England need at least 2 new seamers in the attack. Jofra Archer is as close to a certainty as you can get in these circumstances, and the sight of him training at the Oval on Sunday was genuinely welcome for everyone associated with England cricket. We have talked about Archer's genius and his fragility in equal measure so many times on this channel, and the truth remains the same every time. When Archer is fit and available, he changes what England's bowling attack looks like in a way that nobody else currently in the setup can replicate. The pace he generates, the way he can produce a delivery that arrives suddenly and violently on a batter who thought they had read the line perfectly, that is a skill so rare that you cannot just find a replacement for it down at your local county club. He is in. He has to be in. But Archer is one. England need 2 and possibly 3 seamers alongside him, given the likelihood of leaving Shoaib Bashir out. And here is where it gets genuinely interesting, because the candidates are fascinating in very different ways. Matthew Fisher, who plays his county cricket at Surrey and therefore knows the oval pitch better than perhaps any other seamer in the frame, provides experience and control. He played 1 test back in 2022 in the West Indies during the last days of Root's captaincy and has been a reliable county performer ever since. He is not flashy. He is not the kind of bowler who is going to make the highlight reel in his first over, but he is a proper cricketer who understands his craft, knows what the ball needs to do on a surface he calls home, and gives you something you can rely on at the other end from Archer's fireworks. Then there is Sonny Baker. And Baker is the kind of cricket story that this channel was made to cover, because he represents everything that is most exciting and most unpredictable about the fringes of international cricket. He is quick, properly quick, operating close to 90 miles an hour with the ball. He generates the kind of pace that gives batters very different problems from anything Fisher will create. And he plays with an energy and hunger that immediately marks him out as someone who sees every single ball as an event rather than just a contribution to figures. He had difficult white ball debuts last year, no wickets in either game, and the kind of figures that make for uncomfortable reading if you are leading with them in someone's CV. But his red ball cricket this season has been a completely different story. 22 wickets in 6 county championship appearances is not luck. That is a bowler who has figured some things out and is now executing them consistently. But McCullum has specifically compared his style to Mark Wood, the highest possible compliment for a fast bowler in England's setup. And that comparison is not thrown around carelessly. And then there is Henry Crocombe, another uncapped seamer in the frame, who provides a third option from a group who would all be competing for 2 spots alongside Archer. The selectors have genuine choices here and genuine questions about what combination of pace, control, swing and experience gives them the best chance against New Zealand on an oval surface that will have its own specific demands. But the seam bowling is actually the simpler half of the selection equation, because the harder question, the one with more variables and more implications for England's batting depth, is what happens at number 7. What do you do with Ben Stokes' spot in the 11? And this question is genuinely complex, because Stokes is not just a batter or just a bowler. He is an all-rounder of the highest class, and replacing someone who can give you genuine batting and genuine bowling in the same package is categorically different from replacing a specialist in either discipline. The first option is bringing in a specialist batter. Jordan Cox has put himself in the frame in spectacular fashion with that double century for Essex at the weekend. 204 off 201 balls, a statement innings if ever there was one, delivered at exactly the right moment, on the right surface, in front of the right people, metaphorically speaking. Cox has been knocking on the England door for a while. Was supposed to make his Test debut in New Zealand in 2024 before injury intervened, and the selectors clearly believe in his ability to bat in the conditions England will face at Test level. James Rew is the other option from Somerset, a top 6 specialist who has been excellent for England Lions and made a strong case for inclusion. McCullum has suggested Cox's power and his ability to function at number 7 specifically makes him the preferred option if England go with an extra batter, while Rew is seen as more naturally suited to the top 6. Both are also wicket keepers, which adds another wrinkle to the planning given the situation with Jamie Smith. Smith's partner is expecting the arrival of their second child at any moment, and while England have named Smith in their 11 and expect him to play, they have been careful not to completely rule out the possibility of him needing to be with his family when that moment arrives. Smith missed the New Zealand tour in 2024 for exactly the same reason, and nobody in or outside the England setup would question his right to prioritise his family if that is what the timing demands. If Smith does not play, Cox or Roux steps in as wicketkeeper and the team shape changes slightly. If Smith does play, both Cox and Roux become candidates for the single batting spot at 7, with one of them missing out entirely. The second option for the all-round slot is Rehan Ahmed, the leg-spinning all-rounder who has already played tests abroad but is yet to appear in a home test. Ahmed is a genuine spinner and a useful lower-order bat, which would give England the option of 5 bowlers without sacrificing their balance entirely. The appeal of having a leg spinner available at the Oval is real because spin does play a role on that ground across 4 or 5 days. And Root and Bethel bowling part-time off-spin is a nice option to have, but is not the same as having a genuine spinner who can take wickets. The concern with Ahmed is that Archer batting at 8 creates a long tail below him, and if England are 9 down chasing something meaningful late in a test, the depth of the batting becomes genuinely important in a way it might not if Cox or Roux is sitting at 7. A 4-man seam attack with no specialist spinner is the third configuration, leaning entirely on pace and swing to do the work with Root and Bethel providing any spin that's needed. This is the option that feels most natural given the conditions and given what England know about the pitch at the Oval, where Surrey regularly play home matches without a specialist spinner in their 11. It is blunt, but bluntness has its merits when the ball is doing things and you have Archer at one end making life deeply uncomfortable for opposing batters. What makes all of these decisions harder is the Kane Williamson-shaped gap in the New Zealand side, because on the same day that England were trying to navigate the complexity of their own selection mess, news broke that Williamson, New Zealand's all-time leading run scorer and arguably the greatest batter in their history, had retired suddenly from Test cricket. Will Young has flown in to replace him, and the significance of Williamson's absence for how New Zealand approach this test, for how they bat, for how their captain manages his resources cannot be understated. Williamson was not just a run scorer, he was the axis around which New Zealand's test batting has revolved for 15 years. The calming presence in the middle order, the man who could absorb pressure and then release it on his own terms, the wicket that every England bowler marked on their plan as the one that mattered most. Without him, New Zealand are a different team. Not necessarily a weaker one across every dimension, but a different one with different vulnerabilities and different strengths. And England's attack is going to need to adapt its thinking accordingly. Young is a solid, experienced international batter who will not be overawed by the occasion. But he's not Williamson. Nobody in New Zealand cricket is Williamson. And his abrupt retirement during an active test series is the kind of development that sends ripples through a touring squad that nobody fully anticipated dealing with. Both teams are navigating upheaval. Both teams are arriving at the Oval this week, having lost somebody enormous from their original plans. And the cricket that comes out of that, the improvisation and the pressure and the unexpected things that happen when plans get disrupted, is often the most compelling cricket of all. McCullum looked at the situation and called it a first real test of where England are at, and that framing is exactly right. Not just as a test match result, but as an assessment of the culture and depth of everything Stokes and McCullum have spent 4 years building. Can England walk out at the Oval having lost 3 members of their Lord's 11, including the captain and 2 key members of the bowling attack, and still play cricket that reflects their identity, still play with the aggression and the positivity and the fearlessness that has made them the most watchable test team on the planet since 2022, still find ways to win? Root stepping up as captain, talking calmly and well in the dressing room about what this week demands is encouraging. Brooke channeling his own accountability and putting the team first, by endorsing Root for the role rather than pushing his own case is exactly what a team culture built on honesty and collective purpose is supposed to produce. Cox, if he gets his chance, coming in off the back of a double century with nothing to prove except everything, Baker charging in at 90 miles an hour with the wild celebrations and the hunger of someone who has been waiting for this moment and is absolutely not intending to waste it. Archer, fit and available and dangerous, reminding New Zealand that England's bowling attack still has teeth even without Atkinson and Robinson. It is chaotic, it is complicated, it is the kind of selection week that gives cricket analysts and fans and coaches sleepless nights. And yet, watching McCullum talk about the calm in training, watching the way this squad appears to be pulling together rather than fracturing under the pressure, you find yourself thinking that England might just be about to produce something quite remarkable. That is the thing about this team under this management. The chaos never seems to finish them. It just gives them another story to tell. Right, Boundary Line UK. That is us done on what is shaping up to be the most extraordinary build up to a test match in years. What do you think England should do with the 11? Do you go Cox or Root at 7? Do you include Ahmed and take the gamble on spin? Is Sonny Baker ready for this moment, or is it too much too soon? Drop everything you've got in the comments below, because I want to read every single take on this one, and I can guarantee the debate is going to be absolutely electric. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. It makes a massive difference for the channel, and it takes about half a second. And if you are not already subscribed to Boundary Line UK, now is the time, because this story has weeks left to run and we are going to be across every twist and turn of it together. See you in the next one.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.